Tony Kinnett.
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 Host of the Tony Kinnett Cast.
Let's get down to business.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WYBC.
WCYTV.
Here on the Daily Signal.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal, nationally syndicated, first on 93 WYBC, joined yet again by Kurt Schlichter, back popular demand from townhall.com. How's it going, man?
Hey, you're coming back to the well, man. But I'll never run dry. I'm quality content, A to Z, baby. Let's rock.
There are so many things that I want to just bounce off of you, like a bored child with a rubber ball in the nearest wall. So tell me you have seen the mortification of one type of person, wink, wink, over white people being allowed to be refugees to the United States.
Oh, my gosh. I love that so much because it's, because I like car wrecks.
Oh, yeah.
And disasters. Okay, just spitballing here. I'm no political strategist.
Okay.
You're
not James Carville in his infinite wisdom.
Yeah, I'm not one of those. But I'm thinking if you want to be the political party, one of the two political parties in a country that's about 70% of a certain racial ethnic group, maybe you shouldn't dedicate your party to hating that racial ethnic group. I'm just, that's just my initial thought. I don't know. I'm no genius. I'm thinking it's probably a poor idea to go, we'll bring in every third world peasant from around the globe to come and toil at slave labor. But here are some guys who happen to be of the same ethnic group as the majority of Americans, and who are being, literally murdered by the savages who have, the race communist savages who took over their country. And, it's bad. There's 59 of them. Look, they've got American flags. They're going to work hard.
I do enjoy watching the party who just said, maybe we were too tough on the white guy. Did you notice that all of the white guys, like the union workers in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio and like even most of Minnesota, they all voted for Trump? Maybe we should relax. 54 white people come into the country. Stop everything.
We got to stop everything. They're supposed to be murdered.
And even the Episcopalian minister, remember?
That's the best.
You remember the lady who was like, please, mercy, Mr. Trump.
Yeah,
please.
who looks exactly like you would imagine her.
Oh, yeah. Again, as I've pointed out, who looks exactly like my old disgruntled middle school band teacher. They all look the exact same.
Yes.
And
they've got that
the short gray haircut.
Yeah, SSRI eyes.
Yeah, and then just like the sun, like the same weird shade of likely skin cancer tan.
Oh, it's just awful.
Anywho, all of that aside, because we're gonna get emails.
Good.
She goes through her little sermon, and what does she call legal immigrants? She says the crop pickers,
the people who pick our crops.
That's how she describes them. Now we have 54 people coming from South Africa who are literally crop pickers. They're farmers. No, we can't have them here.
Well, I mean, look, these white refugees shame the communists because that's literally what the Democrats would want. They would want a race communist government that enslaves or murders their designated hated people, which this week are white people, but are often Jewish people, black people who don't vote the way they think they should, gay people who don't think the way they allegedly should, or don't want men pretending to be women jumping on their bandwagon. Look, look, you and I are based, so we don't need to be convinced of anything. This is some vitamin wake the F up for the normals, right? Normal people are like, I don't understand. I thought we were supposed to like refugees. Yeah, just not white ones. Wait a minute. I'm white. Am I bad? Am I bad?
And then it gets really
Am
awkward.
I bad?
Really awkward and quiet. I remember sitting in these meetings again when I worked in public schools where I would listen to them try to argue over who was more oppressed. And it was amazing because it was the conversation was, who's more oppressed, gay people or black people? I kid you not. It was a conversation between a white woman and like just a white guy. They argued for an hour in this meeting while I had to sit in and listen. And I remembered thinking, when the glass finally breaks, if there's any shame and embarrassment left, it's going to be catastrophic. And now here we are.
Well, look, I am currently writing yet another novel, this one about the aftermath of America's second Civil War. Mm-hmm. And of course, that way of thinking is that way of thinking is going to cause it. I mean, look, I was in the Balkans, which is the place that gave us the term Balkanization. And I would see a village of Albanians right here, and a quarter mile away, a village of Serbs, and they coexisted for hundreds of years. Then Slobodan Milosevic came in and decided, well, I'm not going to do what Tito did, which is tamp down this insanity. I'm going to rev it up and pit race or ethnic group against ethnic group. And, well, it worked. They murdered each other in great, staggering, stinking heaps. I would prefer that not happen in America. Look, the greatest success of America, I have long thought, was that you took the major ethnic group, white guy, like me. I'm like 99% Northern European. Mm-hmm. Guys of my ancestry, and made us forget our ancestry. Because if you came up to me when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, they say, hey, what are you? I go, oh, I'm American. No, what are you? And I'd look at them like they were inside, call somebody bring a butterfly net and haul them off to the lunatic. I mean, it didn't even compute to me.
Right.
Do you really want to make people identify first as their ethnic group? Because there's some consequences of that.
Yeah.
And
it's only happened every time that's ever been done in history.
In human history. The thing is, we've got a cheat code called history. And unfortunately, since history doesn't give the lessons they want, it's now racist too. So I think it's a terrible idea. And the problem is we have people with terrible ideas who are nowhere near as smart as they think they are, who are also corrupt and actively stupid. It's like the perfect storm of failure. And somehow these people manage to take over our ruling class.
Well, I think that's one of the most amusing parts, though, is watching those people who think they deserve to be a part of the ruling class end up getting ousted because they went too far too fast. David Hogg's now out.
Yes! I was going to bring
in a
him
surprise overnight vote. I mean, Mike Pence can still keep David Hogg in the DNC if he has the courage, or however.
No, they literally threw David Hogg out because he's a white guy. That was like their excuse. He was saying things they didn't want to hear. But their excuse is, well, he's a white guy. Now, I don't know. Again, not a political consultant, but I'm probably not going to have a lot to do with a political party that says, I'm going to treat you badly because of your ancestry, sex, and the fact that you're not some sort of weird pervert who doesn't know where to pee.
Just going to say, just real quickly, right now, the two archetypal women in the Democrat Party are one of two people. Either, number one, you have the angry, bitter, old, 55-year-old, 65-year-old, 75-year-old lesbian who's very angry at everyone.
But enough about Elizabeth Warren.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Number two, you have either Jasmine Crockett or Monica McIver. You have the really angry black woman. That's your two archetypes. Neither of those are a normal American. They don't represent most women, white or black, but that's who the Democrats choose.
And neither are particularly appealing. You know, the whole ghetto fabulous thing is very off-putting to people who aren't ridiculous. And you know what? The thing is, Jasmine Crockett isn't even that ridiculous. She went to a nice school. I've seen videos of her 5 years ago, and she's like a normal person. It's not this, you go girl. What up, bitches?
So according to the polls, she is despised by 70% of middle-class black women in this country. Black women who are part of the middle class in this country despise Jasmine Crockett because they think she's some ratchet ghetto freak. Because she acts trashy like that, not because she puts on a costume that she's embracing some stereotype. It's disgusting.
I mean, it's like It's like, gee, who do I want to model myself after? I know, Ted Bundy. Like, pick somebody who's appealing.
I mean, imagine Ted Cruz is like, you know what? I realized I am losing the Hispanic vote of Texas. So what I'm going to do, and he gets out the sombrero and puts it on.
I'm
he gets out
Speedy
two
Gonzalez.
maracas, and he's like, buenos dias, I am Senor Ted Cruz. Like, you'd be
And
like,
he has
what
like
are
a
you
little
doing, man?
mariachi band. Bienvenidos a Taco Tuesday.
Right, exactly, exactly. Everyone would realize how
Also,
nonsensical
he's Cuban,
that is.
which makes it even better because there's this whole Hispanic hierarchy that we can't be aware because I married into it.
Again,
we can't be aware of
having
it.
living with Hondurans in college, I do in fact know very deeply about the
there's
lovely
a whole
hierarchy.
thing going on, and I stay out of it.
So I'm just amused.
My wife's over there going, "You better."
I'm just
No
amused
bueno.
by the weird stereotype pandering. They haven't learned. They're not gonna learn, and they're losing every core group. Again, in this last election, it was black men that they lost, right? Because Barack Obama was like,
I know.
Now, let me be clear.
Imagine you're a Democrat. You can't nail down the black men.
It's
I mean, that's an indicator, guys. And everything's going wrong for them, right? In the last couple days, what did we have? We had, let's see, the tariffs working. We have a giant trade deal with China. This morning I wake up, inflation is growing at a much lower rate than expected. We had Trump's being bribed by the Qataris with an airplane. And, of course, that turned out to be complete nonsense, which, of course, the National Review guys all fell for.
Weren't you and I the two right out the front that was like, why are we trusting a story by Jonathan Karl?
Yes.
Haven't we been here before? ABC News every time.
Yes. Maryland man, Qatari jet. It is always the same. And they did it again with some other freaking scumbag illegal alien. They're like, poor Jose.
Oh, yeah. They like
stolen from his home,
his
sent to
child
El
was
Salvador.
like, no, Papa.
Helping out at the hospice where he studies and is an honor student. And it turns out, and also pled down a rape charge.
And stole all the Percocet. I mean, my goodness.
Every single time
you can, and I remember you can set your watch by this stuff. And the frustrating thing for me here is that right now, when the Democrats cannot stop stepping on every single rake, think of the Simpsons clip where he's just going stepping from rake to rake to rake. I really would like to see, and as everyone would like to see, Congress actually get it together and start sliding some of the codification of the president's executive orders into law before the courts start running in and rubber stamping no on every executive order.
Well, my critique of that, I've seen that critique a lot. And I think it's just useless considering the filibuster. I just don't think they're just, unless you want to throw out the filibuster, which
you don't think you can get the Democrats into a place where you say pass a permanent amendment on the filibuster or we ram things through?
Well, that's actually an interesting idea. But look, the Democrats literally voted against a bill that would have kept men with penises from girls' locker rooms. They think it is a good thing to have a dude with a whole sausage factory swinging cruise around your daughter, and they voted, to keep that keep happening. So there's no way they're gonna help.
Did you see that Chris Murphy weird New York Times video where the way they decided to shoot the video was they had a camera up and then Chris Murphy was on a Zoom call on the laptop? Have you seen this? And Chris Murphy's defending. Oh yeah, it was really weird. I mean, the shooting looked strange, and he was basically going on the record saying how much he defended and supported men and women's sports. Here, I'll send it over to you.
I don't have any fear of transgender athletes participating in sports, but
wait, just so you don't have any fear of it. Do you think it's if you had a daughter competing against a biological male, would you find it unfair?
I don't have girls, right? So I necessarily can't, right? I can't put myself in that position.
Have some empathy, right, for those of us who do, right? So would you find it unfair?
I mean, I've talked to lots of parents of girls in Connecticut who do not think it's unfair, and who think that the benefits that those athletes get from being part of a team is important, and they don't mind or feel threatened by the competition. I think everybody can come to their own conclusion, but all I'm saying is
but your conclusion is the official line of liberalism right now. It's you're saying you don't.
Yes, my conclusion is that I would support those athletes being able to participate in my community, right? In my community, but I would not substitute my judgment and my community's judgment for another community's judgment.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
New York Times interview, it's bizarre.
Yeah, my favorite thing that came out of that is somebody says, "Well, would you like your daughters to have, transsexual pervert?" Look, if you're a transsexual, you're either mentally ill or a pervert.
Correct. Those are the two choices.
You're a lunatic or a perv. Would you like those hanging in your daughter's locker room? And he literally does the what did you have for breakfast meme, and he says, "Well, I don't have any daughters."
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, great.
It's like.
And I did nothing
the stupidest
because
ruling class.
I was not a Latino at the Home Depot.
Yeah. Here's another beef I've got. The misuse of analogies. I think analogies should only be allowed with a permit after you demonstrate your capacity.
We need an analogy license or a metaphor license, because I'm so tired of hearing everything be World War II.
Oh my gosh. Everything's not Chamberlain, you moron.
Yeah, they know 4 historical figures. They know Chamberlain sometimes. They know Churchill. They know FDR, and they know Hitler. Those are the 4 people you're allowed to know.
That's literally it.
That's it. No one else.
Yeah, I've got a lot of gripes. Oh, here's my other one. If you do enough good deeds, Jesus will send you to heaven.
Of course,
that's also their theology. So it's like,
that is when they choose to believe in Jesus. The other time, he's the sky daddy they make fun of.
Again, the meme. Whenever we think we can leverage this old Messiah guy to get you to do what we want, we're all in. I don't believe in any of it.
Yeah, unless I'm lecturing
Jesus
you.
Was a refugee.
Okay. I'm gonna have to see your analogy permit. Because, first of all, Jesus hadn't been born. But second of all, they were literally residents going to their hometown to be counted as part of the place they actually lived.
Yeah. The census for legal residents.
Yes.
I did want to ask one final thing. There's this human rights campaign. Well, not final, but there's one final thing I ask if you've seen recently, because, again, very special. The human rights campaign, remember the place that Jasmine Crockett called Abbott Hot Wheels from?
Yes.
Nothing says human rights like making fun of people that are crippled. No.
I was told you can't do that, but apparently you must.
Apparently that's the thing to do. So there's this little panel they did, and they set up American flags, because whenever the Human Rights Campaign wants to slam America, they set up American flags to do it. And so they had this dude in a dress who said, "It's interesting to hear how we are too strong for sports, but too weak for the military." And he thought he had something there.
Yeah, so many of these people think that they're geniuses. I mean, they think, I got him now.
Yeah, right down
and you
the
look
sights.
at it and you're like, well, I
if you don't know the difference between high school women's volleyball and
war
boot,
having actually deployed a couple of times, I have a glancing familiarity with it. And I don't remember, trying to run faster than a bunch of teenage girls. Just maybe other people had different, experiences in, combat zones.
Again, because I'm going to make this point for kicks and giggles here. The reason the dudes are playing in women's sports are because they could not cut it in male sports.
Plus, they like to, they get sexual pleasure out of making women look at their genitals.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't understand how they, again, not a political consultant, but, I'm not going to put my marker down on, okay, America, vote for my party, and your daughter's going to have to look at this dude dresses like a chick schlong. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I don't think, I'm not, what's the demographic that goes great?
Eric Swalwell.
Well, we know it's liberal women.
The demographic is Eric Swalwell.
Eric Swalwell. You know, it's the kind of people when I walk around my neighborhood here in Los Angeles.
It's so sorry.
Ones who have signs that say, hate has no home here. No human being is illegal.
Dude, no one can afford a home
science.
here. It's Los Angeles.
I believe in science. Great. Can a man become a woman? Shut up, transphobe.
I do enjoy watching all of the policy experts continually shift their hats as soon as there's breaking news. So all of the science experts immediately swapped out their hat for India-Pakistani relations experts, and then swapped out their hats for tariff and foreign economy experts. It's really amazing.
Epidemiologists. That was a
the
big one.
epidemiologists. We're around such intelligent people, Kurt. I personally am honored to be
like
around such an intelligent
folks.
cadre.
They got Wikipedia and Curiosity.
Yeah, my AI told me, and we see this on the right a little bit as well. Have you seen the new trend of people asking when they see a tweet that they don't like? Yeah. They'll say, "Grok, is this true?" And the AI doesn't actually do a decent job of answering the question, but they use this as some sort of a gotcha. Both the left and the right are doing this. It's the laziest crap I've ever seen.
It's like, I'm going to appeal to the authority of a computer program that kind of synthesizes the consensus.
Yeah, the program that can't
do you have a lot of faith in the consensus? Has it got a great track record? Are these really the guys you want to bet on?
Oh, this reminds me. I've actually been meaning to ask you about this. So you're in LA, unfortunately. Have you seen a lot of the remote driving cars and the AI cars on the road? You haven't seen any?
I haven't seen any. I'm excited about it. I'd love to jump in one.
Apparently, ChickfilA has these like miniature, like 4 bicycle wheel garden cart automated things that they're rolling out.
Really? There's a ChickfilA not far from here. Maybe I can get one to. Well, actually, I don't like ChickfilA.
I think it's a little overrated. It's
way overrated. They're always very nice, though.
Joella's that's a little bit better. The Hardee's chicken biscuit, though.
Oh, yeah?
As a Midwesterner. Yeah, that goes right into the old blood vessels.
Hardee's is Carl's Jr. out here, and that was my first job.
Really? I did know that.
$3.10 an hour.
I did. Kind of the last big thing that I want to hit on this particular episode is the big legal question here. Everyone wants to bring on their big legal experts. We're getting ready to launch kind of a series on the show called Lawyer Up, where we want to get you and a couple of others every once in a while so that I don't have to answer legal questions with liability. One of these is this goofy idea about how much federal judges in the super duper injunction land that we currently live in, does the Supreme Court have the authority outside of ruling in a big decision, in like a big case, to tell federal judges to knock it the bleep off?
No.
I mean,
it's not a chain of command. It operates through its own opinions, which
just through legal court cases. And
he can't like send a memo. Hey, everybody, chill. That's not. That's not going to do it. Also, he wouldn't do it. Good Lord. John Roberts should be the poster boy for our failed elite.
You don't think that he's getting a little annoyed with the left, though? They keep poking him and getting wilder and wilder, that even he is starting to be exasperated?
He would. But the thing is, he desperately wants to preserve the authority of his institution. And the problem with institutions is entirely institutions not doing what the purpose of the institutions are.
Right.
So if he wants to preserve the institution, he must forthrightly demand through his opinions and orders that the institution of the courts perform its job, not be kind of like this freewheeling legal Mad Libs that becomes an all-purpose obstacle to what the people vote for. But he's too stupid to see that. No, I think I'm gonna. I'll cut the baby. I'll split it. I'll try and compromise. I won't make anybody mad, which of course is the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, there really is no compromise when one of your justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson, is drawing her dissents in crayon.
Well, I mean, God, you know, if it wasn't for Sotomayor, Ketanji Jackson would be the dumbest member of the Supreme Court. Sotomayor is, you know, I know wise Latinas. I don't know how she got that. I don't know how she got that moniker, because she's not smart, and she's definitely
always
not
pick
wise.
the worst examples to be the poster child for the demographic, and it's embarrassing. But there's one. Well, we had Senator Roger Marshall on yesterday from Kansas, and I was talking with his staff about a truism I think sums up the institutional thing really well. There's kind of like an old story of a farmer in the Midwest who had a tractor that he loved. He loved this tractor. It was great. It was, again, kind of a newer model, and he kept it really nice. Well, unfortunately, he spent so much of his time painting and cleaning and waxing the tractor that the tractor quit working. And people are like, dude, your tractor isn't actually doing any of the plowing or the harvesting or anything. He said, yeah, but it looks great. And that's John Roberts. He's out there washing the doors of the Supreme Court and keeping it all shiny. And it doesn't work.
The thing is, if he comes in and calls the cases as they should be and doesn't put up with nonsense, you know, at least he'll have the right wing on his side. But he's managed to make it so the left wing already hates him, and now the right wing hates him. Who are you going to call, John Roberts? Because you don't have any divisions. And I think Trump is playing it very well, not saying out loud what doesn't need to be said, which is at any time I can just say no. He's, you know, indulging them. Luckily, Trump has the world's biggest law firm at his beck and call, and they've been doing that. Their pleadings are actually pretty good.
I don't think people understand how much restraint. A lot of people have mistaken Trump's current attitude and behavior as, well, he's a lot older and he's quieter because he's old. I don't necessarily think so.
No, it's calculated.
He is. He's really taken the entire Biden presidency. This is the biggest praise that I can actually give him. I mean this here. He has taken that entire time with the American First Policy Institute, and I kid you not, they actually wrote out the things to do.
Yes. And then they're doing them.
Working. The flooding of the zone, people think that's off the cuff. That ain't off the cuff, guys.
No. That is all planned, and it is beautiful because, you know, this weekend we had the left and the sissy right collectively wetting themselves over this 747 that was once owned by Qatar. Mm-hmm. And there's like 5-10 other things happening. Yeah, they put out an executive order on decriminalizing regulations, right? Mm-hmm. So that you're not, so that people aren't going to be prosecuted for violating some obscure regulation.
Which by the way, I thought was good. Remember, you have Jasmine Crockett coming out and saying that illegal immigration is not a crime. So why wouldn't deregulation? Of course,
it exempts immigration and defense stuff, which
it should, because, you know, laws.
But the thing is, they all this stray voltage thing, they all glom on to something stupid that eventually humiliates them. Well, Trump does 10, you know, significant substantive things behind the scenes that they get no pushback on. Just using your power. For some reason, the Democrats convinced the Republicans that it was morally wrong for us to use the power we were given to promote conservative change. That's kind of the quintessential Bushism.
It's a really weird place to be in, how the left always wants to push in a certain direction, and they do end up dragging the country incrementally to the left, right? Yeah. There is actual movement. The country moves to the left. But the idea of the majority of the Republican Party is that, well, we can't move the country back to the right. We can only ever defend the new place that we've been dragged to.
Yeah, manage carefully and gentlemanly manage the decline. And Trump doesn't believe that. Reagan didn't believe that.
Correct.
You know? It was like, well, you know, we got to find our way to live with the Soviet Union. It's like, how about we destroy it? What? And it worked.
Again, Trump has like unilaterally destroyed the entire Chinese economy in a month and a half. People don't realize this. Do you know how insane it has to be for Beijing not to lie about employment statistics, which they had been doing for a long time, to stop posting all economic and employment statistics? The Soviet Union never, ever stopped bragging about something even when it was failing? How bad in a communist regime does it have to be for them to just say, that's it, no one talks to anyone?
Well, the thing is, Trump has recognized that America has power. And the way people were getting over foreigners, scumbags here in America, was America not using its power. And I think we ought to continue to do it. I mean, there's lots of ways we
solved
can do
India and Pakistan overnight out of nowhere because you said, you're going to be broke and you're going to be dead. Stop it.
Stop it. And there's so many problems here that just beg for the solution. For instance, the quote-unquote homeless problem. I have a solution to it. My solution is no. You can't be a degenerate, drunky lunatic living on our streets.
But I mean, who's going to act like Jasmine Crockett next to my Speedway at 4 a.m?
Exactly. Lunatic, homeless people belong either not being homeless because they get jobs, or in drug treatment, or in jail, or in lunatic asylums. But you don't get to live on the street and make my city a bad, unsafe place. But you're not nice. No, I'm not nice to degenerates, junkies, and lunatics. I'm nice to normal people.
Correct. And I think that idea of the revivification, to use the academic nonsense word, of the normal person is finally what we've realized needs to be the cornerstone of the common American culture.
Yes.
Which is why it's so funny to see Saturday Night Live continue to get a little closer to making jokes in that direction. They haven't figured it out quite yet, though. You saw that Second Amendment sketch they had where they thought they made the Matt guy kind of
cool.
Cool.
And he's like a god.
Now, what shall we discuss next? What is the second most important principle of our nation?
Guns.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, what he said.
They're getting there.
But see, he's a scary, dangerous guy. Well, yes. If you're not dangerous, you're a sissy and a serf. Yeah, you can be nice, but you can also be dangerous. You need to be dangerous. My name's Matt. Matt, don't worry about
it. Oh, man. Kurt Schlichter, townhall.com. Thanks for doing this episode with us. I appreciate the hot takes and the things that will definitely get our sponsors a few emails.
Well, thank you, everybody. Definitely go buy Los Angeles Silver Bullets on a Sunset Strip, the newest book by yours truly and my wife, Irina Moises. It is a lot of fun, and there's some conservative stuff in it, too, that I think you guys will like. If you like the Kelly Turnbull books, go get Los Angeles.
And you have to get them anyway. Not only are we going to list those down in the description, but I'm still lobbying for the eventual cameo in a book. Again, if Tony Katz over in Indianapolis gets a cameo.
Katz has had things. We'll have to see how it works. I'm writing another one. I'm going to do a Civil War book and get that out in July. That one's just writing itself.
So there's still time. There's still time for me to slip money under the table.
Then another Kelly Turnbull coming out by the end of the year, and a Kelly Turnbull graphic novel. So it's the year of Kurt.
Oh, dude, finally. I'm glad to see the books getting out, because I'm actually running out of things to read that don't depress me. And your books depress me just in a slightly different way. So.
Yeah, but they're also but they're fun.
They are, in fact, very fun. All right, Kurt, thanks again, man.
Adios, man. Thanks.
We'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast.